Hello, my friends. This is Zed, and I'm back with another episode of StarCitizen ship reviews. Now, this is the F-7C, as you'll notice. I'm currently about to land at a landing platform. This is, of course, 1.1A. I know a lot of you guys were excited to play it, and you had a lot of troubles getting into it and everything like that. If you're having trouble with the multiplayer free flight and like to see what it's like, I'm going to be doing some videos with a couple of my buddies, and we're going to fly around, we're going to mess around and show you guys what you can do and kind of some neat tricks that you can do. One in particular is the nice self-destruct method, which is pretty awesome. But this video is a review on the whole landing system in general. Now, I know before you guys get into it, I know that this is an early implementation of it. I do know this. However, there are a few things that I'd like to point out that I think people would like to see. Right now we have a very elite-esque landing. You know, you come into the pad, it shows you where you are in relation to the pad and how far up you are and everything like that. But here's a couple of things that I have a problem with. One, we're not allowed control over our own landing gear. Now, granted, in the future, you know, your ship's going to know when you're going to want to land. At the same time, though, a game is not. And this game likes to pull out your landing gear when you're flying too close to an asteroid. And I don't know about you guys, but I like my stunt flying without my landing gear getting ripped off. So, that's one thing. You know, G button. I think it's actually being used by something. But, you know, just a G button. I want my landing gear to come out when I hit a button. Even if that means that I'm pulling out my landing gear to land on the side of an Idris to keep away from its radar. If you guys get that reference, I'm sure you will. It's a horrible reference, but that's just one of the things that I'd like to do. You know, mag locking is a cool thing. I think it would be a cool upgrade for the ships to have on their landing gear. Say, look at the Hornet skids right now, if you will. If, say, these skids were the Aegis maglock landing gear, you know, because they look like skids, but they're not all facing forward, so they're not good at landing on runways. But they're maglock, you know, you can land wherever the hell you want that's clear enough to hide yourself from enemies, everything like that. Or say the 300 Eyes landing gear has wheels, so it's really good at landing on runways. Not so good with VTOL, but it's able to do it. But it can't maglock, obviously, because the tires are rubber, or synthetic rubber, whatever you want to call it. That would be a cool upgrade for the ships to have. I know there was a lot of chatter about that when the Hornet's landing gear first came out, and they'd kept them being skids. A lot of people were like, you know, why can't we land on the runways? The Bengal has a big giant runway in the middle of it. And I'd like to see some Battlestar Galactica style runway landings where you're just coming in and your ship gets affected by gravity. I'll go into that a little bit later. And you just kind of slam down on there because you're not, like, the ship's not expecting to go from 0G to 1G in like a second, you know, it's just plowing through there. And then it takes the hit and you see fire and sparks and skids going on. And I think that would be very, very dramatic, especially for Squadron 42. And I'd love to see those go on in the Idris, you know. Emergency landings going on. The Idris wants to warp out of there, but they can't because they're waiting on their ships to come in. And they're barreling in there hot, and they're just getting caught by wires on the ground trying to get that emergency landing going. And then, boom, zoom right on out there. That would be beautiful to see. And I think that's what Elite is missing right now. And I don't want to see this game turn into an Elite clone where they got the... don't rip me apart for that. But an Elite clone where they, you know, just go up to a landing pad and then you slowly go down. It ruins the pacing of this game. This game is a lot more fast-paced than Elite is. Elite is more like a slow-paced space trucker game. And I don't want to see that happen. Excuse me. I don't want to see that happen, especially with this game, because this game is a lot more fast-paced. It's a lot more personal and a lot more dramatic. There's a lot more dramatic flair going on here than meets the eye. Granted, I like the fact that I can VTOL land. If I've taken no damage, I'd like to come in for like a sweet, VTOL landing. Make it a little bit more difficult, I want to see the ships getting affected by gravity. As I was mentioning earlier with Battlestar Galactica, excuse me. Battlestar Galactica, their ships were affected when they got into the gravity field. And I'd like to see that happen with, especially like the Hornet. I'd love to see the thrusters fighting back against the carrier that it's on, trying to keep aloft while entering like this atmosphere area. I know Chris Roberts said a while back ago that it's going to be a lot like Wing Commander, where they have those electromagnetic shields that the ships pass through, and that keeps the atmosphere in, and those could probably get shot off and cause depressurization or anything like that, but it also allows the ships to fly in and out, even though those armored doors are still opening up and then closing and everything like that. Also, I guess people would be able to jump out of that in an FPS scenario, but we've never really covered that in a space game, so I'd like to see that happening too. Another thing about landing is just actually, I think that's about it. Everything else about it is actually pretty good. I like the fact that there's an automated landing procedure that is easily activated. You just fly over the pad and you get down and you do it. It's very, very simple once you get the hang of it, but right now it's so hard to, and look at that. This is another reason why I think that the Hornet's landing gear is just not good anymore. I mean, you can see it passing through the wings, and that's just not good. But trying to land, say, with this kind of just system where you have to kind of go into decoupled mode and then slowly inch yourself down, makes the manual landing slower than the automated landing, because the automated landing, it knows what's going on. It goes up there, it knows exactly how much thrust to give you to push you down, and that's it. I love this landing animation for the Hornet though. There was a lot of complaints with the Hornet commercial where he was already on the ground and the Hornet's wings just like flipped back, and then everybody was like, wait a minute, aren't the landing gears on the wings? Isn't that gonna like scrape the runway or something? I kind of figured that's what was gonna happen with the Hornet anyway, but it was just that funny thing in that Hornet commercial I see all the time where I'm like, the ice cream thing is funny, but isn't that Hornet just damaging the runway or the landing pad for no reason? Little things like that I like to complain about, Other than that, I think that I've pretty much covered everything that I don't like about landing right now, and I think they should improve upon it. Like, I'd love to see that capture the Idris mode that they were talking about, where it was like, you fly in and you got to open up the doors and everything like that, but you fly in and you kind of jump out and start shooting at each other in FPS mode, trying to capture the big ship. And I'd love to see some real scraping landings, and I think you can only achieve that by allowing the pilots to lower their landing gear by themselves. Have a landing gear toggle with the G button. Actually, I don't think it's being used right now, but G button, you come in and just scrape down. Right now, that's what happens. You can't do it. And that was another thing. If you guys have watched my Hornet review, look exactly what happened. Everything else is fine, but look what we're missing. We're missing another landing gear. And we can go in for a landing, of course, and we can do all that. But you know what? Might as well do it. We got time. We've been damaged in a fight, say. Let's come in for a landing and see how the automated landing procedure does it. And this is just what I have a problem with right here. Look, we're missing a landing gear already. on one of the toughest ships in the game because the wings fall off all the time. And look at that. Oh. And now I can't get out of my ship. Just because I've lost my landing gear. And so now I'm crashing into the bottom of there. The landing gear on the Hornet needs to be redesigned. CIG, if you ever see this, do one thing for me. Just one thing for me and redesign these landing gear. I don't want to see this anymore. I don't even know what this is. Oh, jeez. Alright, but we're going to be out of time for now. I've covered everything that I wanted to say about landings. As always, my friends, fly with honor, and have a beautiful evening.